it okay to drink? No.
Hi, welcome to High Growth with HTDC. I'm your host, Cindy Matsuki. This is where we talk about all things tech, innovation, entrepreneurship, and manufacturing on Think Tech Hawaii. And today we have a guest who's been in the tech industry for a long time. My guest is Jeff Hong, CTO and founder of Techmana.
Yeah.
Very good. Thank you so much for joining me today. So, you know, before I started at HTDC, and I've been here for a couple of years, I was in the tech industry, but I hadn't heard about Techmana.
Yeah.
But you're a pretty good company, and you've got some good clients. So what is Techmana?
So at Techmana, we develop primarily hospitality industry software.
Which is perfect for Hawaii.
Yeah. But just about all of my employees are ex and or current Microsoft developers. And so we specialize in the Microsoft stack. And perhaps we've done a lot in Hawaii, but that was, a lot of it was laid down when I was working for Microsoft. And so I had started the Microsoft office here in the late 90s. So I've kind of been around the block a bit.
And so how did Techmana get started?
So Techmana got started in an odd way. I was having some differences of opinion with my vice president at Microsoft, and so they decided, I was only actually working half-time at that time, so they decided they would have a layoff of all half-time employees.
Across the board, or just in the Hawaii office?
Just in the Hawaii office, but I was the only one in that position, so either way, it was just a layoff of one. Yeah. And so from there, I actually started Techmana, but that actually led to something else that I've been working on, and that's this non-competition legislation that's sitting in front of the legislature right now. It actually just passed unanimously on the Senate floor yesterday, so we're pretty anxious about that.
Wow.
But it's very interesting that in the technology business, you look at places like California, where non-competition agreements are illegal. And so that really allows a community to develop because people can go from place to place and know they can make a home in the Silicon Valley and have employment from place to place. In Hawaii in particular, it's pretty difficult. I mean, you work for one place, you have a non-competition agreement, then you're literally kicked off the island. And so that was actually one of the things that was about to happen to me, and through a lot of expensive lawyers and whatnot. Certainly I had an exemption to work for one client here in Hawaii. And it's weird, right? Like, it was a hospitality industry client. Does that compete with Microsoft? Not necessarily, but certainly these agreements are used as a lever of business as opposed to actually kind of protecting some sort of intellectual property. Yeah.
That's true. But I guess in Hawaii, there's not as many places to jump to either, though.
Yeah, and that's why it makes it very important, right, to have employee mobility for technology employees, because if there's only a few places to jump and you're stuck at the one place and you can't even jump to those other places, how can we ever build a community of innovation and technology talent? And so fortunately, it looks like the bill will go through and we can bring people to Hawaii. I'm currently working with Hawaiian Airlines, and we have a lot of staff. Unfortunately, we couldn't find the talent here, and so we had to hire through agencies on the mainland. And we're looking at some of their...
For Techmana?
For Techmana and directly for Hawaiian Airlines. And so I'm actually on contract to them as their director of commercial applications.
Oh,
so, it has like
like any customer-facing application?
Yeah, so
wow.
The kiosks and the
That's
mobile and the web and all of that kind of stuff. Yeah.
That's a big piece.
Well, there's 190 staff.
Wow.
It's pretty big.
For that piece?
For all of those pieces.
Yeah. Wow.
But yeah.
But
the majority of them are contract employees.
And so they're not here, necessarily?
A lot of them are here. Some of them are in India. Some of them are in Atlanta. And it's kind of terrible. Why open a place in Atlanta when we could have those jobs here? But you have to go where the talent is. And so we brought a lot of talent here to Hawaii. But their non-competition agreements say things like, you cannot work for the client or the client's client. So think about that for a little bit. You cannot work for the client, Hawaiian Airlines, or the client's client, which is everybody in Hawaii. Right? I mean, who's Hawaiian Airlines' client? The state, everybody that flies.
Because nobody else does.
Yeah, exactly. And so, so these people at the end of their contract, not only can Hawaiian Airlines not hire them, but they can't work anywhere in Hawaii, and they have to go back to the mainland, and we lose somebody that could potentially be a new employee.
Working in a tech company here.
Exactly. So it really makes it difficult. And all of the large shops that are looking for developers have this type of issue, and so trying to alleviate the shortage of technology employees. I hope this helps. It certainly doesn't solve it, but it's a step in the right direction. We don't need to get rid of people one by one.
I can definitely see for the larger businesses like Microsoft, but like for a smaller business where it's just like, say for your business, for example.
Oh yeah, no.
But like there's small, like 1 or 2 people shops where, you'd invest in somebody that you hire.
No, and that is kind of the case, right? Is that for a small business that you invest in people, certainly you don't own that person. I mean, they should go wherever they want. And you compete by making the place a great place to work, by paying a competitive salary, those types of things. And certainly there will be losses on an individual basis because maybe that person still wants to leave after giving all of those, providing those investments. But to have a bigger pie kind of solves the problem of one person leaving. And so if everybody can compete for a larger pool of people, that's a lot better position to be in than everybody holding a tiny pool of people, which is kind of where we're stuck here in Hawaii. As part of the testimony that came in, I mean, we had economists from MIT, Harvard. They did studies in terms of how these agreements either bring talent into a place, like California, or Michigan, which changed their law from not enforcing non-competes to enforcing them, and it kind of drove their innovation talent away. And so Hawaii will be unique in that we can have the ability to bring people here. I think when I was a child, I went to the Big Island, and there's a place called the City of Refuge. Have you been there?
Maybe when I was a kid.
Okay,
I don't remember
so the deal there was if you broke a kapu, you could run to the City of Refuge because basically it was a death penalty for most things in ancient Hawaii, and you could live, right? And California, if you break a non-compete, California you can go to because non-competes are unenforceable, and you can continue to work in your chosen profession. And so hopefully we can kind of have Hawaii as a city of refuge in the innovation and technology sense, because people can now come here and establish a business and still work in their area and kind of avoid these odious non-competition agreements.
How did you find your staff for Techmana?
So oddly enough, when I started the Microsoft office here, there was still kind of a shortage of, it's always been a shortage, right? And so I went to the University of Hawaii and I asked, are you guys trying to produce software engineers or computer scientists? And the answer was, I don't know, which is not a good answer, right? Because they had some people that were going on for their advanced computer science degree, which is more like advanced math, and some people that would go into developing software commercially, but it wasn't really targeted either way. So I ended up teaching a software engineering class using Microsoft technology. So one of my best employees, she was one of my students.
Wow,
very
that's
homegrown example.
That's great.
And then some of the other ones I've worked with here, and subsequently they went to go work for Microsoft as well, and some others are ex-Microsoft folks. So that's primarily where I found people, just people that I've run into working or developing and that type of thing.
Wow. How long did you teach for?
That was actually only for a semester. I just kind of was
Oh.
helping out, and I did that as a summer seminar.
Oh, that's very cool.
Yeah, it was very fun.
That is very
But
cool.
it takes a little too much time. So.
Yeah, I would think so with all the prep. And
Yeah.
Very cool. We're going to take a quick break.
All right.
Thank you for being with us here today. My guest today is Jeff Hong, CEO, CTO, and founder, sorry. CTO and founder of Techmana. And this is Think Tech Hawaii. We'll be right back.
Okay, I'm Jay Fidel, that's Ray Starling. We co-host a show called Hawaii, the State of Clean Energy, every Wednesday, 4 to 5 p.m. It's really interesting. You know, Ray has a way of unzipping these guys. He asks them these questions and all this stuff tumbles out, and we find out stuff we would never know about without Ray's questions. Thank you, Ray.
You're welcome, Jay. I'm very pleased to be your Ed McMahon every Wednesday at 4 o'clock here on the internet. So you can join us and see what's happening in the energy world, and there is a lot going on. So join us every Wednesday at 4 o'clock.
Yeah, come around, be energized right here on Think Tech. Aloha.
Hi, welcome back. This is High Growth with HTDC. I'm your host, Cindy Matsuki. My guest today is Jeff Hong, CTO and founder of Techmana. So we were talking about finding tech staff.
Yeah, so very difficult, right? And I've also found some tech staff through just working relationships, and that's probably the best way. But it's really hard in a small community to find a whole lot of people. And that's what I was pointing out was 190 folks, right, staffing.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, you wouldn't have imagined there were so many, but it would have been nicer to, and we're actively looking, for those of you out there,
Oh,
for
let us know what you're
developers.
looking for. Who are you looking for?
We're looking for, on the front end, the website is built in a technology called Sitecore, a content management system.
Sitecore.
Yeah, and all based on ASP.NET, the Microsoft stack. And so a lot of those types of developers. The site also uses AngularJS on the front end. And so kind of dynamic front end people.
Can they be entry-level people or?
Yes. So we realized that, the story of the woman I was just describing, I think in Hawaii, you want to make the investment in people over time to attract and retain and make competitive people in the community. Because we've tried multiple times to hire from the mainland, and certainly a lot of people come for the adventure, but many times they don't last. And so, learning the airline business, it takes about a year to be kind of proficient in all of the archaic systems that are available.
That's a big investment.
Right, and kind of back to the non-compete thing, but once you've hired them, you want them to stay, and you want them to, stay around and continue on in the community. So, yeah.
I guess for the airline industry, though, I mean, this is especially true. You can't go anywhere else.
Yeah, no, it
Hawaii,
is true. Yeah.
Or you could leave.
Yeah. And so we do hire a lot from other airlines as well.
Oh, on the mainland. That's interesting. So you're from Hawaii.
Yeah.
And you've been away.
Yeah.
And you come back. What do you see as a big benefit to being in Hawaii? Like, why did you come back and start Techmana here?
Well, certainly, there's a sense of home, and there's a sense of being able to build things for the place that you call your home, to make it a better place, like this whole legislation thing is, because non-competes are bad public policy, in my opinion, and boy, it'd be really hard to do that anywhere else, where you could actually talk to your legislators and have an effect, and that they actually listen to you,
that's interesting.
and that you can kind of corral people around in that fashion.
That's interesting.
And so, all of those things are really attractive to coming home. And I talked to you before. I worked in Italy, in Florence. I was running the Microsoft office there. And they were a little embarrassed. They said, well, we're this small little bank, even though they were the oldest bank in the world in Florence. And they're like, can we develop cutting-edge software? And what they didn't know was I was sent there because they were actually developing fairly cutting-edge software at the time, and I was kind of leading that effort from the Microsoft side, and that you can develop cutting-edge software anywhere. You just need the right people and problems to go forward with to get this stuff going. And so, certainly we could do it here in Hawaii. So when I was working at Microsoft, one of the things that we did, the Hawaiian Airlines site that is there now is based on SharePoint 2007. So now that's old technology and people make fun of it. But Hawaiian Airlines was the first publicly facing SharePoint site developed in 2006 as the launch customer for Microsoft with SharePoint.
Wow.
And so you can go out on the web and you'll see all of these kind of old, but Hawaiian Airlines was the star customer and was on the cutting edge at that time.
Wow.
And certainly with all of the technology that we're moving forward with the new website, they will be on the leading edge again.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Is that going to roll out soon? I mean, can you say anything?
Actually, the international beta is live right now. So if you go to the Hawaiian Airlines site and you look at it in English, it looks like the old site. But if you look at it in Japanese or Korean, it has all of the new.
So we can get a sneak peek,
yes, you
sort
can.
of.
And hopefully, within the next 30 to 60 days, you'll see the beta launch of the US site. So I was saying, wow, it's a really busy time for me right now. So
especially with Ledge and this.
Yeah.
Wow.
Good to keep busy.
Ledge is really busy, but there's a month and a half more maybe.
Yeah.
Which is good. How long have you been trying to push this bill through?
This is my third year.
Third year.
Yeah.
That's an uphill battle.
Well, and like most legislation here, it takes about 10 years. I actually was not the original author of the bill. I looked to see if anybody else had run into this problem, and in 2002,
that was a while ago.
yeah, somebody tried to push this bill through, and I just took that bill and kind of worked on it from there, but it already had a basis, so, yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
So it's been around for a while. What is your biggest challenge to being in Hawaii, aside from the non-competes?
Staffing, I think, is probably the hardest. And then, of course, finding interesting problems. So it's lucky Hawaiian Airlines has lots of very interesting problems to solve.
And you have other large customers as well.
Yes, I've been working with Outrigger as well. Oddly enough, they're a Sitecore customer as well. And so they were a Sitecore customer before Hawaiian Airlines was. So I've been looking at doing a lot of performance analysis and those types of things. And one of the things that we're now freed to do, when I was talking about being in a small place and thinking that you have limited means, with the cloud and all of that type of infrastructure, you have multi-million-dollar infrastructure that you can solve any problem with just the right application of technology. And so, like the Hawaiian Airlines website, the disaster recovery site, so you need to have this massive infrastructure to support the site when it goes down. But what we did is we hosted it in the cloud so that it can be mostly off. And in case of a disaster, we can fire up all of these servers and kind of pay as you go. And so, yeah, it's not something that you could typically do in the past because it's too expensive to have a data center up and running. One of the other things that we've been helping out with, which is actually a common problem that somebody should probably make a good business out of. I've been a little too busy to work on it, but is load and performance testing of all of these systems. Because generating the load was always a difficult problem because you need all of this infrastructure to generate it. But now with a cloud-based infrastructure, certainly you can write a set of scripts that generate a load that come from all over the world to rain down, load on all of these servers. Yeah, and then you can see how they react, based on real-world situations. So.
Interesting. Yeah. Interesting. But so Techmana sounds like you do the front end, the customer-facing end, but also some of the analytics and the metrics?
Yeah, we do mostly the architecture. So most, all of actually my employees are very senior. They're fairly experts in their area. So.
That's great.
And so we typically are, leading the development or, excuse me, the architecture, and then ensuring that it's getting implemented well. And so that enables just about everybody to work kind of more or less part-time on different projects. And that's a much better model than totally being devoted to just one client, and then you might get kind of stuck. So.
Oh, that sounds like a great opportunity for someone new to work
Yeah.
under these people.
Yeah, and so
Yeah.
we have
So, yeah.
internships. We have internships coming up too. So
That's great. Where can we find more information?
That I'll have to get back with you because we're still kind of working on
changes
how
going
to-
on.
Yeah, no, just how to publicize getting more interns and
Okay.
getting more
Okay.
staff.
Well, we'll help you
But,
get the word out.
Okay. No,
But where
that'd
can
be
we
very
find
good.
more information about Techmana?
www.techmanahawaii.com.
Techmanahawaii.com.
Uh,
Great. And then you'll have your postings up there eventually for
Yeah.
interns and new workers.
Yep.
Very good. Very good. Thank you so much for being with me here today,
All right.
Jeff.
Well, thank you very much.
And good luck with the bill.
All right. Great.
Thank you for being here today. We'll be right back. This is High Growth with HTDC, and I'm your host, Cindy Matsuki, and my guest has been Jeff Hong, CTO and founder of Techmana. We'll be right back. Thanks.
Here's the deal. I'm Jay Fidel. I'm the host of Hawaii, the State of Clean Energy, which is the Energy Policy Forum's program on Wednesday. That's how we call Wednesday Energy Wednesday. We call it Energy Wednesday every Wednesday. Are you surprised? Okay, and we try to get guys like Jim Alberts here from Hawaiian Electric who can tell us what's really going on in energy. We want to be informed. It's so important. It's the most important initiative in our state. Clean energy is major, okay? And that's why we cover it on this show. That's the deal. What do you think, Sharon?
I think that's great. That's why we're here every Wednesday from 4 to 5, and we hope you all join us so we can hear people like Jim coming on our show and co-host Ray Starling from Hawaii Energy.
Okay, Jim, you've been here today. You've seen this. You heard what she said. What do you think?
I think it's a tremendous opportunity for people to come together and talk about the issues. Oftentimes, there isn't a good forum to bring these key issues out into the public, and this is a tremendous way to go about it. And the activity of this show is essential to keep talking about energy because, as you said, it's such an essential part of our lives that we need to pay attention to it, and we need to think about the future.
Okay, Ray, your turn.
Well, this is a special time in the history of Hawaii where we're making some pretty radical changes in the way we use energy and generate energy. And this show is the one place you can count on coming to every Wednesday and hearing something about the latest issues that are on the table, being discussed, that will affect us all going forward. So come join us, and if you have some ideas you want to share with us about energy, give us a call and let us know. We'll put you up here and let you talk for an hour. So come see us.
Thanks, Ray. Thanks, Sharon. Thanks, Jim. It's great to be, from Think Tech's point of view, it's great to have this show. We love the show. It's our most important show. So come around and listen to us 4 to 5 on Wednesday. Thanks a lot. Bye.
Aloha.
Aloha.
Inspired by an ancient culture, classical Chinese dance, vigorous physicality, timeless stories, 5,000 years of Chinese music and dance, Shen Yun presents authentic Chinese culture. Coming to Blaisdell Concert Hall, May 8th and 9th. Tickets at shenyun.com or call 808-792-3919.
Hi, I'm your host on Think Tech Asia, Bill Sharp. I look forward to you joining us each Monday between 4 and 5 o'clock when we film right here in our studio in downtown Honolulu. The show, Think Tech Asia, focuses on contemporary events in Asia. And by Asia, we mean anything from Hawaii, south to Australia and New Zealand, west to Pakistan, and as far north as the Russian Far East.
clearly, this is one of the most economically dynamic centers of the world. And we bring you up to date on what's going on in a whole host of countries in this very vital region. We look forward to seeing you. Aloha.
Hi, welcome back. This is High Growth with HTDC, and I'm your host, Cindy Matsuki. We're still talking about all things innovation, entrepreneurship, tech, and manufacturing. And my second guest, oh, you know what? I want to tell you what's going on. There's a lot going on. Not so much in April, but a lot coming up. So Wetware Wednesday is tomorrow, April 8th. We'll be having an extra special event to celebrate the graduation of 22 new software developers straight out of DevLeague. That's going to be Wednesday, April 8th at M Nightclub. Our brilliant sponsors are Data House, Rocket Communications, and CGI. They'll be getting the first crack at hiring these software developers, and come help us celebrate. It's going to be fun. This Saturday, April 11th, Lemonade Alley is having their grand finale event where the kids set up their lemonade stands and pitch their products. This event teaches us some business basics, including marketing, budgeting, and more. This event will be at Pearl Ridge Center. Come taste some lemonade and cheer the teams on. That should be fun. The second annual Mini Maker Faire Honolulu is coming up next month on May 9th. The Maker Faire is the greatest show and tell on earth, a family-friendly showcase of innovation, creativity, and resourcefulness, and a celebration of the maker movement. I wanted to let all you makers know out there that you are still able to sign up for a table to show off your making skills at the Mini Maker Faire Honolulu, but you need to sign up by April 15th. Registration is also open to attend this free event at the Iolani School's Sullivan Center. So that's coming up. For businesses and entrepreneurs who need some quick legal advice, every other Wednesday, HTDC offers free legal guidance in partnership with the Business Law Corps. You can sign up for a 30-minute appointment at the Manoa Innovation Center. Please visit htdc.org/legal to sign up for an appointment. Lastly, calling all SBIR Phase 1 winners, HTDC offers state matching funds for up to 50% of your Phase 1 award. If that's you, please contact us at sbir@htdc.org. All right, and now we are on to my awesome guest today, Attila Seress, founder of SOS Tech Solutions, an MIC client, and also a very familiar face at Think Tech Hawaii as well. I'm not sure if you got to talk about your company on your show, but you can tell us, what is SOS Technologies?
Well, SOS, as you might
Tech
imagine,
Solutions.
Tech Solutions, yes, kind of brings the idea that there's probably something out there that's wrong in your technology landscape. We're here with the solutions. And today what I really wanted to share with you, and to share with the audience, of course, is how to really be prepared for any disaster, great or small, especially when it comes to your data.
Is that your specialty? Is that why the SOS, like, I need help?
Need help, and we want to be prepared.
I love it.
We want to be prepared.
Okay.
You know, we are on the most isolated landmass on Earth,
True.
as you know. And how better to make a living than to help others prepare for what could inevitably end up here on the island. Now, of course, HTDC is well prepared for any sort of data loss, or they're well protected against all this stuff, but a lot of smaller businesses, which comprise of over 90% of Hawaii's economy, right? A lot of them are not as protected, not as prepared. So that's really what I want to be able to share and give some advice and information to viewers. I think they'd find it pretty useful.
So, like, give me an example of a disaster.
Well,
I know there's hurricanes, but that's not super often. So what other kind of disasters are there?
of course, there's the little stuff that you probably notice with, the lights dim just a little bit, and then the next day your computer doesn't turn on. That's little stuff. But 41% of all disasters happen from user error. So that's almost half, 41%.
Not acts of God.
No, of course not. And let me tell you a great story that illustrates this perfectly. Now, have you heard of that story, of that movie, Toy Story 2?
Yes.
Have you seen it?
Of course.
Everyone's
yes,
seen
I
it.
have.
Of course,
I
everyone's
have seen it.
It's a silly question. Of course, it's a yes. Of course. Now,
If you've got kids, you've seen it.
you've
Million
got kids.
times.
Yes. Now, did you know that movie almost didn't happen?
No.
Almost didn't
I
happen.
did not know that.
Well, let me tell you why. So about maybe 6 months to a year into production, all the developers are hard at work, animating the story, and all of a sudden, Woody's hat disappears, and then his boots, And then Woody
While they're
disappears
working on it.
while they're working. Like the whole thing starts to disappear. And the project lead is like,
What's going on?
ah, right? So he calls up IT right downstairs, like, pull the server out of the wall. Like, just
Oh
unplug
my
the server.
gosh.
Unplug the server. They unplug the server, and they're like, okay, let's turn it back on. Let's turn it back on. So they turn it back on, and sure enough, the movie's gone. Like, all of it. There's like a couple little things left, like a few, you know, Al's Toy Barn is gone. All the
Oh my
characters are gone.
Gosh.
And it turns out that like some clown had accidentally typed in one wrong command, erased everything. So
It's horrible.
they're running around like chickens with their heads cut off. Like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
all of our work is gone. If they had to redo the work from scratch, it would take them like a year working 24/7, 30 people. Big problem, right? Of course, this is Toy Story 2. This is the sequel to the big movie, right? There's a lot riding on this. So luckily, the project lead was like, oh, this is no problem. We have a backup. So sure enough, they show up with this backup server, right? Like, the IT department wheels it in. Oh, we got our backup server. We got our backup. They put it there, and they plug in the backup, expecting to see all their characters, all the ones that you love, all there. And sure enough, it's not there. Empty backup.
What?
No one had been watching the backups.
So it wasn't backing up.
Wasn't backing up. So this should illustrate a point, right? So you should back up your data and then actually make sure it's there, right? So that's the second half of it. So that's where they failed.
Wow.
Now,
So it just wasn't getting backed up.
it wasn't getting backed up, and all their hard work still missing. Now, obviously, we have a Toy Story 2 movie.
Yes.
So the
It had a
question
happy
is,
ending.
right, where did it come from? And the answer is that one of the moms, like one of the head developers, was
Yeah.
a new mom, and she's like, I'd like to see my kids every so often. It sure would be nice.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take a copy of the movie home with me, not let anyone know, right? Just so she could kind of review the work and stuff. And sure enough, she was like, well, I happen to have a copy at home.
That was the copy. That was
the
it.
copy.
The only existing thing.
Only existing one.
Crazy.
So they like drove over there and they like packed it up with like blankets. And then they,
crazy.
they took it all back and they were like all nervous, like don't go around the corner too quickly, right? And they took it back, and sure enough, poof, there was everything. So the movie was saved, and there's actually a really cute YouTube movie if you look up The Movie Vanishes. The Movie Vanishes. You can see
And
that.
it's that story?
It's that story.
Oh my gosh,
And
I have to write that down.
You got to write it
movie
down.
Vanishes?
The Movie Vanishes. In fact, we should ask users or viewers to contact maybe Cindy right
Sure.
here and get that link. Wouldn't that be nice?
Sure.
Do you have like a social media feed we can?
You can follow us on HTDC on
Mhm.
Facebook. Just search up HTDC.org.
Well, there you
And
go.
we can put up a
HTDC.
link.
And we can put up a link. We can put one up on SOSHawaii.com. That's my company's, SOSHawaii.com. There you go.
That sounds great.
And
Ooh, I'm going to see that.
so yeah, it's a fantastic little film. It illustrates exactly what most people go through. Now, of course, you can't downplay climate change. We've had a lot of things happen here in Hawaii, on the mainland. It's going to be an ongoing thing. So be prepared for storms, be prepared for things to go wrong, be prepared for maybe the electrical grid to not be as reliable as you'd like it to be. Be prepared for accidents, be prepared for when perhaps a truck hits a pole. Now, of course, who do they call? Who do businesses call when this kind of stuff happens? They call us. So we hear about it every day. Every day there's a virus. There's something broke. Some electrical thing failed. Some electrical grid failed and fried a bunch of equipment. And so the next step is, how do we keep this stuff safe? Now, of course, after the break, I'd like to share 6 steps. This will keep the viewers interested. How to keep your data safe, and I'll give you guys 6 steps and tips on how to do that. But it's really important that you really focus in on what is it that's the most important thing to your business. That's your data. It's not your computers. It's not your equipment. All that stuff is really easy to replace. And if you don't have that data, you don't have your customers. If you don't have that data, your customers are going to depend on you if they have data loss. So imagine if we have like a major catastrophe come in, right? You lose your data, your customers lose their data, they come to you, can you provide me with important, service history? Can you provide me with
my backup?
Your backup.
Where's my backup?
Yeah, where's my backup? So it's super duper important, not just for you, but as a member of the community to continue to put this, put this into best practice in your own business and make it all work. So
Interesting. Is that something you provide, backup service?
we do the backup service as well as the planning and all of the, everything that's involved in having business continuity. Now this is called BC. So BC is business continuity planning. That means it's not just, where's our data? It's,
there's no interruption in service.
Right. How do we continue to operate? Now banks, by the way, in Hawaii, would you say that they have an important role in society?
Probably, yes.
How about in Hawaii? Would it be important for a bank to stay running if there was a
Definitely.
natural disaster? You know what they do? They have a separate office somewhere else, ready to go. Food, water, everything. Phones, computers, ready to go.
A separate office.
Correct.
Okay.
And the key
Like
personnel.
in a bunker someplace?
In a bunker someplace. And this is multiple banks have this. This is not just me talking. And they have a business continuity plan. If something happens, they can move key personnel to that offsite location.
Interesting. And keep things
continue
going.
to function, yeah, seamlessly.
Wow.
It's an important role they have in society. We appreciate them having that level of preparedness.
Definitely. Very interesting. We will take a quick break and we'll be right back. And we'll talk about those 6 tips.
6 tips.
Keep your data safe. This is Think Tech Hawaii, High Growth with HTDC. I'm your host, Cindy Matsuki, and we are talking with Attila Seress, founder of SOS Tech Solutions, and we'll be right back.
Aloha, Yappers. This is your host, Kingsley, for the Yap Show. Every Friday, 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern Time. You can catch us here live, Think Tech Hawaii, and then later on, we upload to our YouTube channel. We talk about youth issues, policies, youth programs, and how to transition yourself into adulthood.
But this was like a sign, I guess. Hey, life's like, hey, now's your chance to go back to school, which I'm doing.
Catch us here again live, 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. Hawaii Standard Time. Aloha.
Hi, aloha. My name is Chris Leatham, and I host a show called The Economy and You. The show plays every Wednesday at noon. And on my show, I bring on guests who are interested or working in the technology space. And so I'd like you to come and watch the show and learn with me about all the sort of exciting things that we're doing in Hawaii to build and grow our economy ecosystem. So I'd like to say aloha, and I look forward to seeing you on
I'm
the
guessing
show.
you didn't
Thank
watch my BBD webinar.
That sounds good. Welcome back. This is High Growth with HTDC. I'm your host, Cindy Matsuki, and we are chatting with Attila Seress, founder of SOS Tech Solutions, and he is telling us and small businesses how we can be prepared for disaster, especially keeping your data safe. And he promised us 6 important tips on how we can do this.
Right, of course. I don't like to just go out and say, there's a big problem without offering, here's what you can do about it. And it's not complicated. A lot of this is procedural, really. But I've identified 6 things that are really important for every business to stay operational. Now, the first thing is pretty obvious. Files. Files, right? Word documents, PowerPoint presentations, Excel files.
Everybody has files.
Everyone has files. Now, the question is, where do you put your files? You kind of get like this digital landscape of thousands of files spread out over years. And you hope, right, that there's a good plan in place so that when disaster strikes or something happens and or virus comes in or a user error occurs, just like with the Toy Story story, that you're going to have some way to put all that back together and make some sense out of it. And there's a lot of different ways to do this. There's the cloud. Now, the cloud is a big it's a big conversation. We could talk about cloud for 4 hours, but I don't think our viewers would want to watch this for 4 hours because I'm really excited about cloud. But you can put some stuff in the cloud. My only warning about cloud, though, is that it does get compromised every so often. So Dropbox has been compromised 5 times in the past 2 years. So if you start putting employee records up there, you could run into a problem.
There's a risk.
Put anything with a social security number on it, copies of credit card transactions, anything like that, you may run into some issues, especially when it comes to PCI compliance or any other kind of compliance stuff you may have for your industry. So just be aware that cloud is good, but cloud is also bad. There's also like these kind of hybrid approaches. So I brought along just a sample of what a small network attached storage device might look like, where you can put your files onto these little drives over here, and they are redundant. So if I can pop them out, you can kind of see what a redundant drive array looks like.
And that's really small.
So you
it's
have
it's a little piece.
Yeah, it's just little ones. Of course, this is for a micro office, so something where you'd have only 2 or 3 people working. Much bigger ones are fantastic. I just didn't feel like bringing one down to the studio. But
that's great.
You can have the way that RAID works is that you have a redundant copy. So anything you write to your little RAID device gets copied twice, and then everything that can go on here can go into the cloud.
I see. So you have multiple copies.
Right. So this is like a good hybrid solution. It's particularly good for Hawaii because working directly off the cloud means you're going to the mainland for every little thing. If you work with a hybrid cloud solution, you have some files here, and then you have the backup on, in a cloud provider on the mainland. You still get all the advantage of the high speed of having all your files locally, and you still get your stuff backed up onto the cloud. So hybrid cloud solutions are very affordable. You don't have to come to me to find them, and there's a bunch of different vendors. I particularly like Netgear, but that's just me. I really advise looking at different providers for that. But have a backup of your files. That's number 1. That's your most important thing to start your backup thinking. Tip number 2 is actually to have all of your important passwords and your vendor contact information at hand. Now, this isn't hard to do. Go down to your local office supply store and pick up some folders, get all of your vendor contact information, have all of your account numbers there.
So this is hard copies.
You can have a printout of, just a simple Word document that you put all this stuff into. But the idea is this: when everything is going wrong, do you really want to try to find your Hawaiian Tel bill to find out your account number with Hawaiian Tel? Or do you really need to try to find your insurance policy? Why not just put it all on one page?
That's a great idea, even just for personal.
Just for personal
use
stuff.
too.
Now, we do this for our clients already. We make these big, bright red binders, so it's really obvious.
In case of emergency.
In case of emergency, here's a big, bright red binder. You don't have to go red. You can go yellow or blue or green or orange, whatever you want. But if you make it kind of obvious, it makes it really simple. And I told you, this stuff is simple.
It makes sense. But you just don't think to do that, something like that.
They don't think about it until something really bad happens, and then
I like that.
Then they get the big bill from us, and they're confused, right? So have your important vendors and password stuff in there. There's also a good tool that I like to recommend. It's called KeePass, KeePass. Website is keepass.info. It is a free tool that allows you to store all of your important usernames and passwords in an easy to store place. And it's a very highly encrypted file. In fact, it's so safe you can email it back and forth.
Wow. And feel safe about it.
And feel safe about it. As long as you have a good password on there, you're okay. If you lose that really good password that you use to keep your other passwords, you're out of luck. I'm sorry.
Oh my gosh.
So that KeePass file is a fantastic tool. Allows you to put all your vendors, your usernames and passwords to all of your email accounts, anything you may have with your electronic filings. All right, and I know we are running short on time, so we're going to go with our last 4 very quickly.
Okay.
So number 3 is installation media. Have all of your installation programs in one place. If you've bought your stuff off of Amazon, it's very convenient to go there later and download those software programs again. Things like Microsoft Office, QuickBooks, important things that you need to operate your business. That's item number 3, installation media. Item number 4 is network documentation. Now, documentation is super duper important because if any part of your network falls apart, gets damaged, you can put it all back together again. It's important for insurance reasons. It's important if you bring another IT professional in to get your thing back up and running. How do they do it? Without documentation, it's like working blind. So that's number 4, network documentation. Number 5, every industry has some sort of line of business app. Line of business apps are often very complicated and convoluted to try to restore. my tip to you is to ask your line of business provider, see if there's an online version or a cloud version. QuickBooks does this,
Oh, I see.
Sage
To
does
kind of
this.
come back up.
Right. That way they are responsible for keeping it up and running. And of course, item number 6 is to look at your physical files. Every business has some sort of physical files that they need in order to operate. If you don't have some of these critical files, you're in trouble. The good news is that there's a technology around that's been around since a very long time. It's called microfilm. And believe it or not, other than stone tablets, it is rated the highest shelf life.
Really?
So
This is
microfilm
stuff in the libraries, right?
Stuff in libraries will last 100 years.
Interesting.
So number 1, files. Number 2, important vendors and passwords. Number 3, important installation media. Number 4, network documentation. Number 5, line of business app. And number 6, have your physical files secured in such a way that you can retrieve them later. Great.
Very good. Thank you. Those are all awesome tips.
Good thing there's a rewind on this video.
I know, because he's talking fast. Thank you so much for being with me here today, Attila. Hope everybody got all those tips. He gave us some 6 great tips for saving your data in a disaster. This is High Growth with HTDC. I'm your host, Cindy Matsuki on Think Tech Hawaii, and we'll see you next time. Thanks.
Thank you.